Mic check, 1, 2. Everything appears to be in order. All right, there we go. I kind of changed the perspective on my camera a little bit so that way you guys can see more of me rather than just being like a straightforward type of view. So whenever I lean back, you guys can see me a lot better. But it's time to get started, ladies and gentlemen. It's that time of the month again, the last day of the month, which means another day in which we reflect on all the chapters of One Piece within a month. Welcome, yo peoples! Kyushu92 here, and as I just explained, welcome to One Piece Reflections for the month of April. We got 3 chapters this month, all of which I found to be really good. I know for a fact that some people didn't like the last chapter that we got, but I myself enjoyed all 3 of these chapters that we got through this month. Chapters 1009, 10, and 11, which was the most recent chapter that we got. So let's go ahead and dive into these chapters. We'll talk about them. And once we're done with each chapter, we'll kind of reflect on what we kind of learned during these chapters and what we hope will come to fruition past chapters 1011 going forward. And especially, and as you know, we tend to talk about things that we are hopeful to see in the next few chapters going into May. So let's go ahead and get started with chapter 1009. We got a nice cover page here with the straw hats in the snow, just making snowmen. Chapter 1009 called Naraku, which sees the aftermath of the last chapter in chapter 1008, where it is shown that Orochi's out and about, he's up, he's survived his beheading, his supposed beheading, and he's going around getting his revenge on Kaido by setting fire to, well, all of Onigashima, saying like, how dare you betray me? Well, I'll teach you a lesson, I'll burn all these pirates alive. So he and Fukuro Kuju are going throughout the entire castle, just setting it on fire. And here in chapter 1009, Naraku, we see the Beast Pirates doing their best to put out the flames, and we see Orochi running into Kinemon and the rest of the Akazaya 9. Now, the thing is, the samurai were not there when Orochi cut off the head. When Kaido cut off the head of Orochi. Sorry about that phrasing. And they see him here with Fukuro Kuju. Hello, Neil Johnson and Invoker. But they see Orochi and Fukuro Kuju here, and Kinemon's all Orochi, and then Kinemon's all Orochi, and Orochi's all like Kinemon. And then Fukuro Kuju says, Shogun Orochi, they aren't aware that you have already died once. You know, Fukuro Kuju's just confirming what we already know here. Going forward, Fukuro Kuju says, flee from here, my lord, I will stop them. And Orochi says, silence, fool, I'll be surrounded by enemies on all sides if I go back into the castle. Besides, I can see Kaido's already softened them up. So tell me, all you Kozuki leftovers, did I catch you by surprise with Kanjuro? You got me too, Kiyoshiro. But let us overlook all those past treacheries, and he begins transforming into his Yamata no Orochi form here. I have nothing to fear from you now in your wounded state. I will devour every last one of you. After 20 years of trembling at your ghost, you will feel my wrath. And, you know, in real anticlimactic fashion, Orochi doesn't get a chance to even show off anything before every single member of the Yakuzaya 9 just behead every single one of his, well, heads. They just unceremoniously just cut all of his heads off. Even though Kaido has pretty much beat up all of these members pretty badly, and even though they got healed up inside the treasure repository, they still have more than enough strength to deal with Orochi and just walk past him. And then, I mean, this shocks Fukuro Kuju, but the rest of them is like, especially with Kinemon, he says, we have no time to waste on the likes of you, Orochi. Your judgment will be served to you in hell. It is like, Orochi does a lot of boasting, but he lacks the strength to back up this boasting, which is the reason why him getting beheaded here is not really surprising. It's epic to see that even people that he thought would not be a challenge for him, just easily cut him down. Now, the thing is, we don't know if this is truly the end of Orochi again. I mean, I don't think so because, I mean, cutting off his heads hasn't exactly been a permanent way of dealing with him. I mean, Kaido did it, and he's back. Kinemon and the rest of them did it to all of his Yamata no Orochi heads while he's in Zoan form. That's actually something that never really dawned on me. When Kaido cut off his head when Orochi was human, I figured that would mean he had one less head in his Yamata no Orochi form. But what does it mean if you cut off the heads of Orochi when he's in his Zoan form? What does that mean? I might just be overthinking it here, but if he was beheaded in human form, that would be one less head he has in Zoan form. But what if all of his Zoan form heads get cut off? Does that mean he just loses? Does that mean he doesn't have any heads to regrow back and that's the end? Because it's not like if you cut off his heads in Zoan form, then he loses one in human form. That's not how the Uno reverse card works. But we'll have to see. I mean, we've seen him beheaded before, human-wise. I just want to know, is this a confirmation of Orochi being killed here in his Zoan form? I mean, if he comes back, and does that just mean that's just, even if he has his heads cut off while in his Zoan form, does that just reduce the number of heads until there's only one left, maybe? That could be another option. Even if all of his heads get cut off in his Yamata no Orochi form, then maybe it just means one less head he comes back with. Maybe. But going on from here, Raizo stays behind and decides to fight Fukuro Kuju. Raizo says, I must say, Fukuro Kuju, my opinion of you has risen. You've remained loyal to that fool to the very end. Hey, CJ, what's going on? And Fukuro Kuju says, I would say the same to you, but even before matters of revenge, we were always fated to fight, you and I. Weren't we, Raizo? I think he has one head left. One head in 985 and 6 heads in 1009. So with them cutting all of his Yamata no Orochi heads, that could just eliminate all of his heads except for one. So if he gets his head cut off again, then that could be... then that could be the end of Orochi. I think it's numbers, one head left, Hiyori maybe? I don't know. But it shows that Raizo stays behind as the rest of the Akazaya run off. So Raizo is facing off against Fukuro Kuju here. Ninja versus ninja. Then we cut to the Skull Dome on the rooftop with Big Mom saying, let's give him a big one, Kaido. How many of the 5 do you think will survive? And then it shows Kid saying, Trafalgar, can you use your powers to send one of them below? I would have done that already if I could. Their hockey is so strong it's impossible to move them. So it's not just Kaido, because here's the thing. When I read this the first time, I thought it was just Kaido that he meant, but it's both Big Mom and Kaido. Their hockey is so strong that Law's Ope Ope no Mi is not able to move them. Even though his Devil Fruit is like a time-spatial displacement type of Devil Fruit, the hockey of Big Mom and Kaido is too strong for them to be manipulated by his Ope Ope no Mi. Because you know what I find strange? The fact that no matter how many times Law has used Room, he has never tried to use Room and slice into Kaido and Big Mom. So if your hockey is strong enough, can it actually resist the unique cutting effects of Law's Room? Not just him using shambles on you to just pop you anywhere, but just not being affected by Law's cutting while he's in his room. Is that like a defense? Is that what you would call a straight up defense against the Ope no Mi? If your hockey's strong enough, then you can't be cut even inside of Law's room where he pretty much has all the control over everything. So with Law saying that he can't even move them, it just makes me think, does that also mean he can't cut them while they're in his room as well? It's just a thought I've been having. But here I thought it was just Kaido that he said he couldn't move, but it's in fact Big Mom as well that he can't move. And then Kid says, in that case, time to disassemble. But Luffy immediately notices, hey, here comes something big. And Kaido says, I trust your core hasn't gone weak with age, old woman. And Big Mom says, who do you think you're sassing, boy? And here we have Big Mom and Kaido using a massively, possibly one of the most powerful attacks we've seen in One Piece thus far. A combo attack of their own. If I remember correctly, according to Virgo back in Punk Hazard, if Law can't overcome his target's haki, no cut. That's exactly what I thought of. I thought of Virgo being cut up by Law way back when I was saying that. So that kind of dawned on me right there. Like, the fight between Law and Virgo was the exact image that popped up in my mind when I was talking about that. So Neil, I agree with you. I agree with you there. But here we have Big Mom and Kaido using quite possibly the most powerful attack we've seen in One Piece, called Conquest of the Sea, which is a combination attack where, you know what will be good? If we have cross-references of attacks, so you guys can know just how powerful it is and how descriptive it is as well. And it's a good thing I have Kaido and his physical capabilities bookmarked as well. D-Strain, what is going on? We are on chapter 1009. We got 2 more chapters to review over. So, right here, we have, the move is simply called Hakai. Conquest of the Sea is its Viz manga translation. Hakai, a combined attack of Kaido and Big Mom, standing side to side, Kaido in his human beast form, which grants him greater strength than his normal human form, adds on to this attack. In his human beast form, swings forward his Kanabo, while Big Mom simultaneously swings Napoleon in its Cognac form. The combined power of the Emperor's strikes creates a powerful explosion-like wave of force that quickly travels forward and absolutely devastates everything in its path. The attack was shown to dwarf the island of Onigashima. Now remember, the scale of Onigashima is massive. The boats that Kinemon and the rest of the Straw Hats came in on were like toy boats to the rest of just flowing into the first gate and seeing Onigashima in all its glory. Onigashima is massive. So they're basically saying that the move that Big Mom and Kaido used, the attack itself literally was bigger than the island itself. The combined power of the Emperor's strikes creates a powerful explosion-like wave of force that quickly travels forwards and absolutely devastates everything in its path. The attack was shown to dwarf the island of Onigashima, and Roronoa Zoro was heavily injured even by just attempting to block the attack for a moment. Because as of right now, after blocking this attack, Zoro has been massively injured by trying to block it. This move is very similar to Dory and Brogy's combined Hakoku technique, featuring even the same poses. In the Viz manga, this is called Conquest of the Sea. Now, going back to it, sad I can't stay, have a good stream, we'll catch the replay tomorrow. Alright, Neil, glad to have you here regardless. Big Mom and Kaido use a move called Conquest of the Sea, and it is seen way back from a bird's eye view of Onigashima. You can just see the massive explosion happen from a far off distance, and it's absolutely massive. And Big Mom and Kaido are dumbfounded to see Zoro get in the way of this attack and try to block it. And it immediately starts hurting him because while he's saying, move all of you or we're all done for, even while he's saying this, he's feeling the brunt of the attack, and it's actually starting to hurt him. Sorry about that. And we see the explosion, and you see it explodes outwards from Onigashima, and it is literally twice the size. The explosion is about twice the size of the entire island. And as the dust settles, Kaido says their voices haven't gone out. They got away, eh? Very impressive. Just another example of Kaido using his observation haki to find out where they are. Because among the things that Kaido tends to use that we just see him straight up use, armament and conquerors is pretty much what we tend to see him use. But observation hockey tends to be shown just by what he says during his words. Because here it's their voices. Voices is specifically bolded here in this speech bubble, letting us know that, hey, I can sense them right here. Their voices hasn't gone out. I can hear them over there. So it's just another example of him using observation hockey. And then it shows Kid, Law, Killer, and Zoro, who is currently laying on his side from just trying to block that attack. Luffy's not there because he's right there in front of Kaido trying to hit him with Gum Gum Red Hawk, it would appear. Either Red Hawk or Red Rock, but Kaido, using observation hockey, he easily dodges it. And Luffy sees this as saying, did you just dodge that one, Kaido? Because it was gonna hurt, huh? Letting us know that Kaido knew that Luffy was gonna use the same method that he used to actually hit him and actually injure him. So he decided to dodge out of the way. But while Luffy is recoiling from his attack, Kaido, using his Kanabo, slams him into a nearby wall. And Luffy uses armament hockey to brace himself, but he's still getting sent flying. And it just shows here that the hockey of Kaido versus Luffy, it is pretty much the same moment where Katakuri's hockey was overpowering Luffy's. It didn't fully break through his defense, but Luffy definitely felt it in his arms as well. So it did actually hurt him a little bit. Even while he was using armament hockey, Kaido's hockey was able to break through that, and he was able to send Luffy into the wall and actually hurt his hands a little bit. And then Kaido is already bearing down on Luffy, and he shoots out a laser from his mouth. Now, the thing is, this doesn't exactly get an attack, but I would like to believe that he's capable of just using his bolo breath in his human beast form. It's just that he doesn't say it here. He can just fire it like normal from here. Then Kaido, as he sees Luffy rolling on the ground, jumps up into the air, using, his human beast strength, just jumps straight into the air and starts to spin his Kanabo around. And here is where we get a first example of Conqueror's coding, but it's not mentioned until the next chapter. We get an example here where while he's spinning his Kanabo around, you see the electricity start to build up around it. And he says, Conqueror of 3 worlds, and proceeds to just crater Luffy with a move called Conqueror of the 3 Worlds Ragnarok, or Ragnaroku. It's specifically Ragnaroku. Even in the Viz manga translation, it reads out Ragnaroku, not just Ragnarok. But we see the streaks of Conqueror's hockey emanating from his Kanabo as he smashes into Luffy. And then we see a metal box being made where Big Mom's wondering what's going on while Kid and Law prepare to take out Prometheus and Zeus. Law shambles Zeus into the metal box so he can't get out, and Zoro goes out of his way to slash Prometheus while Killer, who's working alongside him, goes out of his way to take Napoleon out of Big Mom's hands. And then as Big Mom falls to the ground because she doesn't have her floating support anymore, Zoro proceeds to constantly cut Prometheus so he can't reform. And he uses a move called Flame Ren Crossing the 6 Paths. And it shows Napoleon running away from Killer, saying, no, stop, I'm just a sword. And Big Mom is calling for all of her personal homies to come back to her, but they're all preoccupied by the other supernovas. And Kid uses a move called Punk Pistols and just shoots at Big Mom, like with large harpoons, but due to the toughness of Big Mom's skin, it has no effect on her. And she proceeds to literally punch Kid straight in the face with all of her strength. Now, mind you, she isn't using Conquerors here, but she proceeds to body Kid straight in the face, saying that what's this? You think if you pry them away from me that you actually have a chance of beating me? And then as she pulls her fists off of Kid's face, he grabs her arm, and using his power, his repel, sends her skyrocketing into the sky, where Law has a big old boulder waiting for her and sends her right off the edge of Onigashima. And Big Mom, not realizing what's happening, says, "You little fool, what does it matter if you hit me with a..." And then she realizes she's being tossed off the side of Onigashima itself. And then she says, "What? I forgot. There's nothing but sea below me. Help me, Zeus!" Zeus can't do anything because he's trapped in a kid's metal box. Then Law says if he can't fly down to help her, and it shows Zoro coughing up blood here, a lot of blood. Him just trying to block Conquest of the Seas. Conquest of the Seas has rendered him severely injured just by trying to block it. If he can't fly down to help her, then that takes care of one of them. And that is the end of chapter 109, where it shows Big Mom plummeting off of Onigashima. Overall, I thought this was a very good chapter, especially seeing more moves from Kaido, especially in his human beast form. We've all seen the strength of Kaido. It's always been something to behold. But to see him use brand new moves that are more powerful than the last, it just shows us that every single instance we've seen Kaido literally do anything fight-wise, he was never even using his full strength. Even as monstrous as it seemed when he one-shot Luffy, or the moment where he was fighting Big Mom, especially in the anime, because the anime kind of extends their fight, whereas in the manga, we don't see a fight between Big Mom and Kaido. We just know that they were fighting for 3 days. But we see that Kaido's strength is one that he doesn't go all out from the get-go. He's like Kenpachi in that way. He chooses to hold back on those weaker than him to either just beat them into submission to make an example of them, or if he just wants to break their spirit so they can become a part of his crew. Kaido really doesn't go all out for the sake of just straight up killing. Even with the moment where he went up against Gekko Moria, I highly doubt he had to go all out in order to fight Gekko Moria, because after that fight, well, we kind of know that Moria lost his entire crew to Kaido, with him being the only survivor. So it stands to reason that when Kaido goes into his human beast form, and he uses these moves like Ragnarok, or teaming up with Big Mom to use Conquest of the Seas, then it just shows you that he's found an opponent worth going all out for. Which means that from here on in, he really can't go back to using the same old moves he used before. He's got to either use them in his human beast form and just show the epitome of his strength and why he's known as the strongest creature, or otherwise we can't hold him to that title anymore. But it just shows you here that no matter what we've seen of Kaido leading up to these next few chapters, no matter what we've seen of Kaido, it's not the extent of his strength, if that makes sense. I hope I don't sound like I'm rambling, but it's just that no matter how many times we see Kaido or Big Mom do something, they always have something even further than that. And in this next chapter, chapter 1010, we get to find out why he's so strong and why most of his attacks have such a tremendous amount of power behind them, with chapter 1010, Color of the Supreme King. Now, it continues with Big Mom plummeting off of Onigashima, saying, "Help me, Zeus," but Zeus can't get to her. And then it shows Prometheus making his way over to Big Mom, even in pieces, trying his best to make his way over to Big Mom in pieces, but Zoro keeps cutting him. And then it shows Zoro is completely, he's just not in good spirits right now. His whole body is wrecked. Even Law, who's a medical expert, says, how is he still fighting? That last attack he took could have shattered every bone in his body. So even Law, who's a expert top tier doctor, can see that Zoro is not in a good state, but he's also questioning how Zoro's able to move right now. Now, here's one thing along with luck that seems to be a running theme in the story of One Piece as well, is that if your will is strong enough, you can even overcome debilitating effects on the body. Because there's a lot of lucky characters, in this story, and there's a lot of characters who have basically overcome a whole bunch of life-threatening adversity just by sheer force of will, just by their will being strong enough to not give up. I know we see that a lot in a lot of shonen animes and a lot of different mangas, but it really does play a key part in this when you see characters like Zoro, who pretty much tanked a island dwarfing explosion like shockwave attack from two of the strongest Yonko we've seen actually fighting, mind you. Let me be specific about that. Two of the strongest Yonko we see engaging in prolonged combat. It just speaks to his level of will to just push past that and still press on. I mean, we've seen many examples of Zoro tanking a lot of things that pretty much should have killed him, such as well, I wouldn't say he tanked it, but it's because Mihawk chose to let him live, but he still survived getting cut across the chest by Mihawk. And even others who saw him have this wound over his chest. Even Arlong said, how is it possible that this man is still alive with a wound on his chest like this? It just shows you that Zoro's will to survive has been very prevalent even since the beginning of One Piece. And then going forward, we have another moment where he's dealing with, after in Thriller Bark, where Kuma takes all the pain that Luffy had endured during the entire arc. All that pain, Zoro decided to take all of that on himself. And then when Sanji and the rest of them wake up, Sanji finds Zoro, and Zoro's still standing there, covered in nothing but blood, eyes red, bodies trembling, but still standing strong, and still has the will to say nothing happened here. He's literally standing, covered in blood, and the area around him is covered in his own blood as well. So, and he decided to take all that pain into himself, so that he had the will to survive in order to, protect his captain. So he was willing to take all that punishment on himself, and he survived. Though, shortly after, he went into a coma, and he didn't exactly... Well, he wasn't exactly... He kind of went into a little bit of a coma after the fact, but... Alright, here we go. So, just all these moments where Zoro has basically survived all of these different attacks just shows you that his force of will is great enough for him to just persevere past things that should have killed him many, many times during this entire series. I might need to go back through the history of Zoro just to see how many fights he has survived that should have killed him but hasn't. So going back to what Law says, it just shows you that Zoro's will to survive is extremely strong enough to have him survive a combined attack between two Yonko. But going back to the real meat and potatoes of this chapter, sorry, I gotta hurry this up just a little bit so I don't keep you guys too long. I know I tend to ramble just a little bit because I kind of want to go in depth, but let's keep it going. Back here with Kaido notices that Big Mom got knocked off of Onigashima, and says, "That was pathetic, Lin. I have to do everything myself." And looking at Luffy, his eyes are still white. Especially, the thing is, Luffy is pretty much in the same position he was in when Kaido beat him the first time. The way this panel is set up, Kaido is in front of Luffy with Luffy on his back. Again, like way back when near the beginning of Wano. Luffy is laying face upwards, eyes white and unconscious, while Kaido is standing over him and Luffy's behind him. It is literally like a parallel to when Kaido beat him the first time. I never noticed that, but he's essentially in the same exact position. And then Kaido says, "Hey, Pirate Hunter, let Prometheus go." And he launches towards Zoro, but Zoro is shambled out of the way for Law to use injection shot. And he hits Kaido directly in the throat. Directly in the throat. And we know that Law's injection shot. Hold on, let me bring up the Ope no Mi, because we need to explain how powerful these attacks can be in the hands of others as well. So let me find injection shot here. Thank you, internet, for always being here. Alright, injection shot. While aiming at his target, Law rushes towards them with his sword stretched out in order to stab them. Once the sword connects, Law makes it fire like a gun, making the target bleed in the aim spot while pushing them back a fair distance. Law's signature ability of being able to cut objects from far away can still be used while performing this move. Seen when he cut through Treble's Hanamizu Shinken Shira Hadori, actually, what is that move called, so I can say it in English, because I know there's going to be some people out there that don't like it when I don't say it correctly. This move from Treble is called the Snot Blade Catcher. Hey, Ekin, what's going on? While performing this move can be seen when he cut through Treble's Snot Blade Catcher without having to touch it with his sword, but the move can still be blocked by hitting the blade from the side. It was first used against Treble, but was interrupted by Doflamingo before it made contact. Its first successful use was against Doflamingo himself. A targeting reticle similar to his scan also appears on Law's hands or on the blade itself while he is preparing the attack. Only the injection part of the attack's name is rendered in kanji. Okay, this just goes into the explanation of what the kanji means. But that's basically what it is. Law is literally just shooting his blade into a person's body, and he did it here to Kaido. And Kaido coughs up blood, so it actually does some internal damage to Kaido. And he's coughing up blood, and he says, "Those powers of yours." And Law uses a move called Antibacterial Curtain, which, if I go down here, it's called Curtain, but in the Viz manga, it's called the Antibacterial Curtain. Law uses a move called Curtain, and Kaido says, "Those powers of yours really throw me off, Trafalgar," and he sends Law flying in the opposite direction. But the explanation of what Curtain is it's a defensive technique. Law makes a pulling motion with his arms stretched horizontally in front of him, which generates what appears to be a protective, transparent veil between himself and his opponent, akin to surgical draping. And then it just shows, it was first used to defend against Kaido, but Law was still sent flying by his attack, so it is unknown if the move was any effective in reducing damage in some way. So we don't really find out whether it completely shields him. But the unique thing about it is the kanji for this technique may indicate Law's possible employment of armament haki to perform it, because the literal meaning of curtain, of his antibacterial curtain, it literally has a meaning of antibiotic armament. So with the explanation of that kanji, one would think that he's capable, he may be using armament haki in order to help with the attack. It's not exactly explained in this way, but one could assume that the kanji explanation may be why he's able to do it in that way. But going back through here, it shows Napoleon and Prometheus sailing off of Onigashima in order to go down to Big Mom. And then Zoro, still wheezing and coughing, he still hasn't recovered from bracing, from trying to block Conquest of the Seas from Big Mom and Kaido. He is still hurt by that, massively hurt. Other attacks, we've seen him kind of breathe heavily, but this is the only attack where he has yet to be able to get fully on his feet and be at 100% again. He is still hacking and coughing, and it's still giving him a hard time to move around. Pardon me. He says those flames are going to go and save Big Mom. And Law says, let him go. The plan might as well be a failure if anyone dies. Then Kid says the point was to separate the two of them. No need to take it too far. And then Killer says no need to take it too far. Then going forward, It shows both Kid and Killer running off in the distance towards Big Mom, with Kid using his abilities to pull a massive amounts of metal with him. What's going on, Thomas? We are on chapter 1010. We only got one more chapter after that. Then we'll talk a little bit about what we can expect from the upcoming chapter after break, and then I'll call it a session here for today. But Kid says we'll deal with Big Mom and goes off with Killer to go after her. And then Zoro says, "Kid, Killer." And here in the next page, it shows that Big Mom has survived falling into the ocean, narrowly falling into the ocean, because it shows the waves of Wano right underneath her. So it was at the last possible second, I believe, that Prometheus was able to save her. And Big Mom is praising Prometheus, saying, "My sweet baby." And then she starts getting mad, saying, "What does Zeus think he's doing? He's useless." And Napoleon says, "That's what I keep telling you, Mama. He's a dunce and a dope, and he's always holding us back." Then Prometheus says, "Hey, anyway, Mama, can I ask you for something?" And we don't find out what that is until it's alluded to in the next chapter. And we go back to the edge of Onigashima, and clouds start to form in the sky, and Kid and Killer are looking at this, and Kid is all like, "What's with these clouds?" Then, cutting back to Kaido, he says, "Wurrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrr stares me down. And Kaido says, what should I crush first? Those eyes or his brain, maybe his heart? And then Law says, listen, Traffy, what I'm about to do is the limit of my ability. And then Law says, are you sure about this? And then Zoro says, if the fight drags on, we're only wearing ourselves down. If we can't break through, we die. After this, it's all you. And then channeling the energy into Enma, Zoro says, hey, Kaido, that's my captain. And Kaido looks at him as Zoro assumes his Ashura, uses his Ashura form for the very first time during the time skip. We have not seen this form in forever, but this is the first time we see it during the time skip. And he says, if you want to crush anyone's skull, you'll have to start with mine. Demon Order 9 sword style. Ashura blades drawn. Dead man's game. And proceeds to full-on cut through Kaido. And this does in fact hurt Kaido because it draws a lot of blood from him. I just hope we get some deaths from the young generation, Kill Off Kid and Killer as they failed. Zoro and Luffy, the ones that could not make it. We'll have to see if anyone actually fully dies from the if anyone actually dies from this fight. If any of the supernovas actually dies. I'm not going to put any money on it because, well, you never know. Luffy has a brain? I know, it's like Kaido doesn't know this guy at all. Like, we know Luffy. Luffy does not operate on logic. He operates on, can I punch it? Yes, you can punch it. Then I can beat it. There's a chance that Killer might die. There's a chance because going into the next chapter, you kind of could have that flag over him. But let's not jump ahead quite yet. We'll talk about that a little bit more, Thomas and CJ, once we get to that chapter. But going here, Zoro uses his newest Ashura move called Dead Man's Game, cuts into Kaido and draws blood from him. Law can only look on in shock, and Zoro, who's pretty much used up all of his strength, is just left huffing and puffing. And here, we see that Zoro has proceeded to do what no one else has done since Odin, and has left a brand new permanent scar on Kaido. And then Kaido says, boy, don't tell me you can use the color of the Supreme King too. Now, mind you, when I read this, I was in denial. I was in massive denial because of the stance that I took way back when. Because I know some of you guys have talked to me about whether or not Zoro could get Conqueror's Haki in the future. And back then, I was so vehement on saying, you know what? No, because, I mean, even though Luffy has Conqueror's Haki, it would be kind of a contrast if Zoro doesn't have it as well. And I kind of stuck by that. But it wasn't until I read through this chapter again where I started to think, you know what? Maybe it's not such a bad idea for Zoro to have Conqueror's Haki as well, because, I mean, like the previous King of the Pirates had, he had Conqueror's Haki, and so did his first mate. So, with Luffy wanting to be the future King of the Pirates, and with him still being well on his way to do that, it's not out of the realm of possibility, nor is it too far-fetched for Zoro to have it as well. So, because when I think about it, I was really, really dead set on saying that, you know what? No, no, no. It'd be extra. It'd be extra if Zoro got a Conqueror's Haki, because so many people are having Conqueror's Haki in the series already. I mean, it's like every other person that Luffy or anyone else fights ends up having Conqueror's Haki. It's like Conqueror's Haki is commonplace in the New World, but it's extremely rare when you go to the other side of the Grand Line in Paradise. Luffy operates like Goku at that point. Pretty much, he especially channels his inner Goku when someone harms his friends. That's kind of the wavelength that Luffy operates with, a little bit. But Kaido says, don't tell me you can use the color of the Supreme King too. And then Zoro says, huh, what are you talking about? Don't have any idea what you mean. So, here's the thing. Even though Zoro says that he has no idea what he's talking about, it would seem that not everyone is aware of them having Conqueror's Haki within themselves. Because if you remember, Luffy was using Conqueror's Haki before he even knew what it was. Like, it really got really, really prevalent back in the Marineford War. And it wasn't until he actually trained with Rayleigh that he actually learned what it was. But he was just using it way back when, and he had no idea what it was. So, one could say that Zoro was using it here, and he had no idea what it was as well. He just used it in his attacks, not an actual, like, you know, try and knock people out kind of way. But Zoro says, don't have any idea what you mean. That was the best attack I could do. And he's huffing and puffing. He's really, really out of breath. I remember saying on my last Marvel Avengers stream that I don't think it wasn't fair. I don't think it wasn't fair that Luffy was getting all the Haki upgrades. But Zoro says that's the best attack I could do. Sorry, I was reading the comments there. I was hoping I'd at least knock you off your feet. And Kaido is saying, oh, you did enough. This wound will remain with me. So, not only does Kaido has a scar from Odin on his side, but he has a massive scar going from the left side of his shoulder across his chest now. And then preparing to beat down on Zoro, he says, your generation is proving to be an annoyance. And Law gets up saying, Zoro, get out of there! And Kaido glares at Law and says, you stay there, I'll come to you. And he uses Raime Hake! And he hits both Zoro and Law at the exact same time, even though they're a considerable distance away from one another. Now, to bring this page back up for Kaido, his Raime Hake, just to re-describe it, then I remember what he said about Zoro, Sanji, and Jinbei being the new monster trio, leaving Luffy being a force of his own. Yeah, I remember saying that as well. But, and it's like, wow, I really did talk about what could happen. Like, you could think that the new monster trio is Jinbei, Zoro, Sanji, because Jinbei has, you know, the strength of a fish man. So that kind of pushes his strength out past Zoro just a little bit. Zoro is right there. Or maybe it's Zoro, Jinbei, then, yeah, Zoro, Jinbei, and then Sanji. Because Zoro would then be second only to Luffy, which kind of works in with a captain, first mate type of dynamic. So Luffy on his own, Zoro, Jinbei, and then Sanji. And that forms that new monster trio. It's probably not going to be the new monster trio, but that's how I see it. But, interesting. I just wonder what's going to happen after Wano. There's so much ground to cover, you guys. But but Kaido uses Thunder Bagua on both Zoro and Law. Now, just to go reflect on what this move actually is. Raime Hake, Kaido charges towards his opponent at great speed, swinging his Kanabo horizontally, one-handed, to strike them with devastating force. The attack is so fast that even after seeing the future, Luffy was only half successful in dodging it. This was before some of these before some of these chapters, like near the beginning of the earlier fight. Sanji should get some sort of greater hockey techniques or levels. I feel like, here's the thing, Sanji is strong, but I feel like we don't see him in his raid suit all that often. Now, mind you, the only reason why he doesn't really like to be in his raid suit now is because it reminds him too much of his family. He still has to have Frankie remodel the whole thing. So, who knows? We could see Sanji using his raid suit a lot more once it gets that full remodel from Frankie. And then, I mean, because frankly, we really haven't seen the upper limits of Sanji's strength all that often. Like, the only time we saw him get like a massive strength increase is when he was using his raid suit, and he kind of bodied Page 1 a little bit when he was Osoba Mask. And then we saw it a little bit when he kind of clashed a little bit with King during the opening fight in the performance floor. But we really haven't seen Sanji get to a point where we see him use a most powerful attack from him. We got one from Zoro now. But we still haven't seen the full extent of Sanji's training when he was with all the Okamas back in Kamabaka Kingdom and was being trained by Ivankov and all the other Okamas there. So we really haven't seen Sanji go all out. We see Zoro use the he literally just called Deadman, Ashura, Demon Aura, Blades Drawn, Dead Man's Game. He literally says that is the limits of his ability. Him using Ashura with Enma, which already causes him to use more hockey than necessary until he gets it fully under his control. Enma demands that the user be strong enough to control it. So not only is he using his most powerful ability, not only is he using his most powerful attack, while being severely hampered by trying to block Conquest of the Seas, but he's also using a sword that forcibly draws on him to use hockey as well. So, this is the absolute limit of Zoro's cutting ability that we've seen thus far. So, for Sanji, we still need to get more from him, because we really haven't seen him really do any really good fighting. Not one-on-one yet. It just feels like Page 1 was only temporary just to draw the attention of Page 1 because he was threatening to harm a lady. That was it. But we haven't seen him resolve to just beat this person until they can no longer move. We have yet to see Sanji get into that situation quite yet. And we've been pushed back even further because Robin and Brook have taken over dealing with one of the Tobiropo that Sanji was contending with, which means that he's basically just running through Onigashima on his own, trying to figure out what he's going to do next. Who is next to fight him? If Frankie does modify the suit, Nami is going to threaten him to take away the invisibility mode for, well, I would not be surprised if Nami has Frankie get rid of that. Because, we saw what happened to Sanji the first time he tried to use it. He literally got beat up by, I think, both Nami and Robin for when he was trying to peep on them. Not trying, he actually successfully peeped on them while they were in the bathhouse in the earlier chapters, and we got to see, not fully see, the Happiness Punch 2.0. Would not be surprised if Nami gets to Frankie first and removes the whole invisibility part from the suit and then just throws it into the ocean so that Sanji can never get it back. Would not be surprised if Nami has Frankie do that. But for Sanji, he needs to get his own fight. We need to see the extents of Ivankov's training. We know he was trained in his food, in training and cooking and everything, so now his food can be more nourishment for the Straw Hats and whoever eats it, and just draws upon their strength and makes them even stronger from eating the food. But we haven't seen the full extent of Sanji's combat training. We have yet to see 2 years of strength and progress made from him training with Ivankovs and all the other Okamas. We have yet to see that. I am getting really stuck on talking about this because I haven't read out the rest of Kaido's Raime Hake. So we need to continue. I've already gone like 51 minutes and we're still on the second chapter for this month. But going forward, just to continue with Raime Hake, we'll talk more about Sanji once we're all done, because I feel like Sanji is not being given his due thus far. I'm not saying that Oda is taking too long showing it to us. I'm just saying that I really hope Oda shows us very, very soon, because we have yet to see that. But going back to it, Raime Hake, Kaido charges towards his opponent at great speed, swinging his Kanaba horizontally, one-handed, to strike them with devastating force. The attack was so fast, even after seeing the future, Luffy was only half successful in dodging it. Additionally, Kaido can imbue his Kanabo with both Conqueror's and Armament Haki for the attack, which causes a visible trail of dark lightning to exude from the weapon. When first used against Luffy in his boundman state, Raime Hake knocked the 1.5 billion bounty pirate unconscious with one hit. An imitation of the Raime Hake is used by Kaido's child Yamato to devastating effect, albeit still weaker than Kaido. And then it just goes into a description of what the Thunder Bagua actually is and what it means in kanji and all that. But here, while Kaido is in his human beast form, he is fast enough to hit both Zoro and Law with it, sending both of them just getting tossed across the ground. Both of them coughing up copious amounts of blood from the hit. And then Kaido says, "What a shame. If you'd come with me, we could have conquered the world." And then it shows Luffy standing up, saying, "With you? We'd never go with you, idiot. We love the samurai. Mark my words, you're going down." And then it cuts to, reflection. A reflection of what Grandpa Hiyu says: "The haki you wield penetrates and destroys the enemy from the inside. Do not overstress. You must allow the haki to flow into your fists." Pardon me. Then Luffy says, it was still too shallow. And then we get a reflection with Grandpa Hiyo saying, "It is in the midst of danger that power truly blossoms. But after taking that hit from your club, I figured it out. You can infuse things with Conqueror's Haki, can't you? It's Supreme King Haki here, but everyone is just used to calling it Conqueror, so I'm going to be calling it Conqueror's from here on in. You can infuse things with Conqueror's Haki, can't you?" And then Kaido just laughs at him. And Kaido lets us know that regardless of how many people can use Conqueror's Haki in the New World, he says only a handful of the very strongest can use Conquerors to infuse things with Conqueror's Haki. Only a handful of the very strongest can, not a dead man walking. And before Kaido can hit Luffy, Luffy uses his own Conquerors to hit Kaido's Kanabo without actually touching it. And he flips over Kaido, who flips over Kaido and then goes straight for Kaido, and using Conqueror's Haki to infuse into his fist, which also appears to be coated in Armament Haki as well. He then proceeds to hit Kaido straight in the chest with a Conqueror-infused attack, and causes Kaido to drop to the ground. And then it shows Luffy, still using Conquerors, just Shoryukens Kaido straight in the chin, causing Kaido to fall on his back. And Law is watching all this happen, saying he's not even touching him. And then Luffy says, "Zoro, Traffy, thanks for protecting me. You can go down now. I'm going to beat him no matter what it takes. Go ahead and let everyone know." So here, Luffy has figured out how to do the exact same thing that Kaido is able to. Now Luffy I wouldn't say he's fully grasped it, but he knows how to get it started. He has now realized that he is able to use his own Conqueror's Haki to enhance his attack, and is now sees himself able to deal with Kaido without the help of anyone else. To the point where he tells both Zoro and Law to go downstairs and let everyone know that I got Kaido, don't worry about it. Now, here's the thing. This is the end of chapter 1010, but some people have said that it's dumb that Luffy is starting to beat Kaido. I know, and I've had this conversations with them before, but some people think it's really dumb that Luffy is able to deal with Kaido this way, and he's actually starting to learn the same thing that Kaido is. And he has even said that Kaido, who has spent so much of his life perfecting his combat capabilities, hey, Coolest Husky, who has spent the majority of his life enhancing his combat capabilities, has perfected his haki and how to use it and everything. And Luffy, who literally got hit by this attack, has learned it after getting hit by it like a couple of times in a short span of days. So, and they're saying that it doesn't make much sense for Luffy to be able to do the same thing that Kaido was able to, and Luffy has had not even a fraction of the time to learn how to comprehend the concept. But my rebuttal to that is the fact that Luffy is quite possibly one, if not the most adaptable fighter in this entire series. When it comes up to him fighting people and they have an advantage, it does not take him long to figure out how to counteract that. Nor does it take him long to get the concept of an attack style down in a short amount of time. Example, when he's fighting against NL, and Enel keeps using observation haki to dodge all of Luffy's attacks, and no matter what Luffy does, it doesn't hit him. Luffy goes out of his way to literally, and seeing how Enel is making it seem like he can almost read his mind and avoid every attack that Luffy's doing, Luffy goes out of his way to make his mind go completely blank in order to make it so that not only can he dodge Enel's attacks, but also make his whole body go limp and make all of his limbs go limp and attacking in a direction that has a random chance of hitting Enel, making it extremely difficult for Enel to counteract it. His whole gum octopus deal, where he just attacks a wall that sends all of his limbs at high speeds going in random directions and they all end up hitting Enel. It shows that Luffy sees that, well, if he can read my movements and can tell what I'm going to do before I do it, then let me attack in a way where he can't see where I'm going to do it, because I'm not going to direct my attacks at him. I'm just going to let them fly, and whatever hits him, hits him. He can't guard against things that are randomized, only when they're directed at him. Then we have the example where he goes up against Crocodile, realizing that Crocodile can pretty much drain him of water, and all it requires is for Crocodile to be, hit by water for his attacks to land. He first starts out with a big old water bottle and just douses himself in water, and that starts to work out. Then when that whole barrel of water is gone, he's bleeding, and therefore starts using his own blood as a catalyst to allow him to injure Crocodile. No matter what Luffy stands up against, he immediately it does not take him long to adapt to fighting these individuals. Now, when it comes to extremely powerful individuals like Kaido, it takes him longer to adapt. But once he gets the concept down, it doesn't take him long to add it to his own repertoire. It doesn't take him long to actually add it to his combat style. So him being able to get the gist of using conquerors to infuse his punches and attacks and whatever, it does not seem far-fetched to me. So for those thinking that Luffy shouldn't be beating Kaido this easily, it's not the fact that Luffy is making beating Kaido easy, it's just that Luffy has lowered the bar for himself to be in the playing field to actually combat Kaido. Now, I'm not saying that Luffy is just straight up stronger than Kaido, because Luffy does not, I'm just saying it right here. Luffy does not have the same level of strength as Kaido, but Luffy is very good at catching up. But Kaido has not had a decent opponent since fighting Oden, so his haki couldn't have gotten stronger. In fact, it may have been weakened due to the lack of a good fight. Another good point. People's haki in this series, especially strong individuals, they tend to increase and grow stronger the more intense the battle they be in. Since Kaido hasn't had a strong opponent since Oden, which was like 30 years ago, to fight, Kaido really hasn't had much reason to go out of his way to use his utmost strength in order to fight people, because his regular passing strength alone is more than enough to contend with most opponents. So up until this point, Kaido really hasn't had a real opponent who could actually give him some trouble in combat. So it would stand to reason, like D-Train says, it would stand to reason that maybe his haki is not as fine-tuned as it once was, because there really hasn't been any strong fights for him. So here one could see that due to him being rusty and getting in an all-out fight, that causes him to use his human beast form and causes him to use attacks that can be infused with Conqueror's haki. One could believe that Luffy, who has been fighting since the start of this series, has a bit of an advantage over Kaido due to Kaido not being in fights that would cause his haki to be pushed to his limits. So that's what I feel about Luffy, getting all these punches in on Kaido. It's Kaido who has let himself not fight more strong opponents, which is why his haki is not really holding up as definitive as it once has. It's not having a lasting effect on the people he's fighting now as it once has. When he knocked out Luffy, Luffy was straight up knocked out and taken to prison. He hit Luffy again with an even stronger attack, and Luffy got up. Luffy has grown used to the level of haki that Kaido is using. Therefore, the level of haki that Kaido is using is not enough to keep Luffy down. That's just my whole opinion on the matter, but that's the state that Kaido is in right now. Since he's never been put in a state where he has to push his own haki to the limit, his haki is not holding up against a person who has literally had to fight strong person after ridiculously strong person in order to make his own haki stronger. That's the situation that Kaido's in right now. He's in a situation where a person who has been having their haki pushed to the limits, and his own haki hasn't had much room to maneuver in the past 30 years. So one could say that he's a little bit rusty. Because Kaido hasn't really been pushed to this limit in a very long time since Oden. Well, Kaido supposedly briefly fought with Shanks before or during Marineford, that is, if they actually physically fought. Still up in the air, the whole details of the whole altercation between Kaido and Shanks. I mean, Shanks came out of that completely unscathed. Even his entire ship and all of his crew members came out of it unscathed, so who knows if they actually fought. They could have talked. It's hard to say. It really is hard to say unless Oda decides to delve into that later on. So for Shanks versus Kaido, it's hard to see if they actually fought. If they actually did fight and Shanks came out of that unscathed, well, they kind of would have both come out of it unscathed, because Kaido doesn't have any scars other than the one Oden gave him, and Kaido sees Shanks as one of the only of the handful of people who are capable of fighting him on equal footing. So it remains to be seen if they actually fought or not. I really hope Oda delves into that so we can get an understanding of Shanks' strength, because Shanks is a whole matter entirely. One of the strongest people we've seen in a series, and we've never seen him fully commit to a full-on fight. He's clashed with Whitebeard easily. He's clashed with Kaido. He's pretty much clashed with pretty much everyone, and no one has come along to actually beat him. You can't count the King of the Sea, or Lord of the Coast, or Lord of the Sea. He willingly gave that arm up, but that's the only extent of damage that we've seen him suffer. The scars across his face, we've never seen that. That's a whole matter entirely. I wonder if we'll delve into that when we actually see Shanks meet up with Luffy again in the future. Maybe. We'll have to see. But back through this, that's the end of chapter 1010. Luffy now fully using Conqueror's haki to aid in his attacks against Kaido, and each attack is landing. And that's the end of chapter 1010. Moving on to the last chapter for today. And how's my time? I've gone about a good hour thus far. Hold on, let me move this over just a tad so that chat is a little bit over off to the side for you guys. Okay, but going back through here, pull this up, full cover page. Chapter 1011, The Code of Sweet Beans. Kid and Killer are looking on in the distance as Big Mom is creating something in the distance. And Kid is saying, well, this can't be good. And Killer says that's one perky old bag. And on top of that, and Kid says, well, yeah, enough talk, let's clear out of here. And we see someone screaming out in the distance. And whatever it is, it looks like it's lightning infused. And then Kid says, wait a second, I thought we captured the lightning already. And going through here, Big Mom says, time to test you out. Show me your power, Hera. Which basically just shows us that Big Mom has created a brand new homie, Hera. Now, going here, let me go to the Soru Soru no Mi, so we can understand what this next attack actually is. Soru Soru no Mi. That is not it. I said Soru Soru, not Soul Solid. There we go. Alright, let me go down to the actual attack itself. Alright. So, Big Mom says, show me your power, Hera. And whatever type of homie it is, it's more than likely a female type homie, because she says, oh, and she has like lipstick on her lips, and she says, yes, mama. And then Big Mom launching, I'm guessing, Hera towards Kid and Killer, uses a brand new move called Fulgora. And it is a massive attack because the explosion encompasses the entire side of the skull on the island of Onigashima. So this attack is absolutely massive. Now, what is this move? Using her new homie Hera, Fulgora, literally meaning seismic thunder. Big Mom has Hera unleash an enormous horizontal lightning bolt that creates a massive explosion upon impact, causing tremendous destruction to whatever it strikes. It was first used against Eustace, Kid, and Killer, and was strong enough to create a giant hole in the skull dome of Onigashima. Fulgora is the name of the female personification of lightning in Roman mythology. I know one of you guys mentioned Roman mythology concerning the name when I reacted to this chapter the first time. So whatever this new homie is, it is meant to be a replacement for Zeus. Because Zeus has like special abilities like Raite. Big Mom summons Zeus around her left hand, charging it with lightning, then slams it down on her opponent, striking them both with her superhuman strength and a powerful bolt of lightning. First used against Vince Smoke Judge, and was powerful enough to knock him out in one hit. Then Zeus has Indra. Big Mom makes Zeus shoot a lightning bolt at a distant enemy. It was first used against Killer. Indra is the deity of heavens, lightning, thunder, and storms in Hinduism. And then the next move that Zeus has is God of Lightning Tenjin. Tenman Daijizai Tenjin. Big Mom commands Zeus's lightning to strike through the clouds in all directions, bombarding her surroundings with an electrical thunderstorm. The lightning itself is sentient and can change direction to strike at targets who are trying to dodge or take cover. It was first used against the worst generation members on the roof of Onigashima. Tenman Daijizai Tenjin, or simply Tenjin, is a god of thunder in the Shinto religion. And then it's called God of Lightning Tenjin. So whatever this homie is, it is potentially stronger than Zeus, because it doesn't exactly say that these attacks have like massive area of effects explosion-like capabilities. Now, mind you, the God of Lightning Tenjin from Zeus, it can strike lightning in all different directions, but it doesn't have the explosive capabilities or explosive properties that Hera's Fulgora has. Because it's with Hera, her Fulgora is like an explosive horizontal lightning bolt that has been shown to leave a giant gaping hole in Onigashima. None of Zeus's attacks have reached this level of area clearing power. So whatever type of new homie Hera actually is, it seems to be like she's more powerful than Zeus. So whatever's going to happen to Zeus remains to be seen from this. Then it shows on the roof that Zeus finally, Hera from Greek mythology is Zeus's wife's sister and was upset with Zeus for having many affairs. I think you said that was that you, D-Train, who said that during my initial reaction to 1011? I think that might have been you. I think that might have been you who actually brought that up to me before. But Zeus breaks out of his little confinement saying, "What happened? Are you okay, mama? It came loose. I'm coming to save you now." Have I seen the translation issue that BDA was talking about a few days ago? I have not. I have not. And Zeus goes in the direction of Big Mom. And Law says, Kid's power must have weakened. Big Mom's gotten back to the castle then. We really don't want her come searching for that cloud. Leaving you here alone and taking everything else, Straw Hat. And then, he teleports both Zeus himself and Zoro out of there while Luffy stays up there with Kaido. Then Kaido gets up. Actually, you know what? Let me look up this translation issue. What is it actually about? Actually, what's it about? Can someone explain it to me just in case I can't really find it in time? Apologies ahead of time. Oh, are you talking about massive reveal lost in translation? It changes how Luffy and Kaido talk at the rooftop. One Piece chapter 1011 included a very important quote that was sadly lost in translation for most of the English translations. Does that include the Viz translation as well? Because I believe this comes from the Library of Ohara. Include a very important quote that sadly lost in translation, meaning that you might have missed on what was said. So let's take a look at this important quote and try to understand exactly what it means. Don't know if it's an issue, but just a change. Let me see. Actually, you know what? Let me pull up Library of Ohara. Because maybe they can explain it here. Real quick before I continue on. Let me go all the way down. Huh. Maybe it's not going to show it here. The smile laugh line that Kaido said was deeper than it seemed in English. Okay, so maybe because of the translation, we actually lost some actually really important information concerning chapter 1011 that the translation didn't exactly show us. So actually, let me pull that little window up. Actually, I haven't even gotten to that point quite yet. So let me actually continue on. They are actually talking about the moment that I was actually about to get to. But Kaido gets up and he's laughing and he says, "I can tell you're enjoying yourself. The more precarious the situation, the bigger your smile." So I'm pretty sure that this is the moment they're talking about. Okay, in the Japanese version, when Kaido and Luffy talk, he starts laughing. I'm listening. Hold on, I kind of want to listen to this. Wow, and Roger's face just popped up there when he says, like, sure, it can mean smile, but it also means laugh as well. So, does that mean that with the way Luffy's acting right now, the bigger your smile, Kaido is being reminded of Roger and Luffy? Is that what they're insinuating here? Because I got the video right here. I got the video from Arthur right here. That wasn't me that said that. Okay, D-Train. You might be a little bit delayed because I kind of said that like a whole bunch of minutes ago. So you might be a little bit delayed behind me when I say things during stream. So does that mean that Kaido sees Luffy as someone that reminds him of Roger with the way he's acting? Because that sounds like a very Roger thing to do. And it got a lot darker, even though it's so bright. Why can't my natural light just be bright? Why can't it just be bright? I can't tell. But we need to get back to this chapter because I've already continued on for a lot longer than I needed to. Going back to this, it's now that's actually kind of stuck in my head now. With the way that they're both laughing at one another, it makes me wonder, does Kaido get reminded of Roger when he sees Luffy laughing like that? Yeah, there is more, but we don't know what it. There is more, but we don't know what it is. So maybe Kaido is reminded of Roger this way, with the way that Luffy is just, with the way Luffy's just doing. Because when he says, "I can tell you're enjoying yourself," the more precarious the situation, the bigger your smile. Because I feel like this isn't the first time he's faced off against an opponent who, despite the situation get more and more dangerous, just continues to smile. So maybe he's reminded of a time where he actually had to fight Roger. Maybe he's reminded of the smile on Roger's face when Kaido had to face him in God Valley. Maybe? I don't know. And that moment just stuck with Kaido, and maybe that's why he's saying it like this. I'm starting to get a kind of more theories on this. So maybe he's just... I'm just going to say it like this. Too long didn't read. Maybe Kaido is reminded of Roger with the way that Luffy is acting in this fight. And it shows Kaido launching at Luffy. It could also be something with the D. Maybe. I feel like when we find out what the will of D is, that's going to be one less mystery in One Piece. When we finally find out what it is, some people are going to be mad. Some people are going to be happy. All I know is that the will of D is another thing that has really been prevalent in a lot of these major fights. But they both clash with one another, and they're using their own Conqueror's infused attacks to combat one another. And just like Roger versus Whitebeard, they clash, but they don't touch, and the resulting explosion from two Conqueror Haki users causes a massive explosion at the top of Onigashima, actually clearing out clouds over the top. But back in the third floor, we have Kid and Killer, who have pretty much been launched way back into inside of the palace now. Kid and Killer are looking around as they see some of the Beast Pirates trying to close in on them. And as they try to close in on them, a Straw Sword comes in there, and it turns out that it's Basil Hawkins, who is saying... Kid says, "So you've come slithering out to finish us off, huh? Just like a traitor would." Then Basil Hawkins says, "Don't forget, I was betrayed by a poo just like you. All I did was avoid a fight I was certain I would lose. You did well to survive all after that." All known Will of D members smile and continuously sometimes laugh during often life-threatening or fatal situations. Even Odin did so. He did. And then here, after this exchange between Basil Hawkins, Killer stays behind to face off against him, while Basil takes on his Go Mono Soul face. And Kid just runs off saying, "You got this." And Hawkins says both Luffy and Kaido are acting like Saiyans. It's the thrill of a good battle. They really are. Hawkins says, "I appreciate that. I could not have beaten both of you." And Killer says, "At least you know your role here. You play a good lapdog." And Hawkins says, "Call me whatever you like. Your chances of dying here are 92%. Poor Hitokiri Kamazo." And Killer says, "More fortune telling? Well, fortune favors the bold." And he just starts laughing. Now, I know what you guys have said, that someone said that there could be a chance that a supernova dies during this whole fight. And seeing as how Basil Hawkins' predictions tend to be kind of spot on, and there's a very, very, very high chance that Killer could die, it does not mean it's a 100% chance. There's just a 92% chance, which leaves an 8% chance that he will survive. And it's always the slim chances that people tend to survive in this story. And then Hawkins says, "Best of luck to you, Killer." And then Killer just retorts back at him. Going to the second floor, it shows Nami, Usopp, Tama, and Kumachio running away from page 1, who's holding onto Kumachio's tail. And as they're running through, they're being all frantic and extra, as usual. And where is that specific quote that tells us that there are limitations to Tama's powers? There it is. Okay, we got to keep going. Showing Tama running away with Kumachio, Nami, and Usopp as page 1 holds on in his hybrid form, trying to take out Nami and Usopp. And Tama says, "If they all join our side, then my job here is done." Well, she says, "If we can just reach the stage in the open area, I can give a command to all of the enemy fighters that Horselina helped feed Kibidongos. Help feed Kibidongos to." Because Horselina had pretty much just ran through the entire performance floor already. And so everyone who has eaten a Kibidongo on the performance floor who is not a full-fledged Zoan, all Tama has to do is just go to that performance floor, and she can start issuing commands to all of them. Then she says, "If they all join our side, then my job here is done. As long as I can help out, I don't care what happens to me. We just gotta get to the stage." And then, Nami and Usopp are all like, "Don't be ridiculous. Yeah, me and this old guy are here to protect you." "What are you talking about? I'm only 16. Hawkins is a little Wesker with his English voice. Just a bit. I feel like I'm channeling a little bit of Wesker in there when I'm doing his voice, but not too much. "I don't know who you are. Be gone from my phone." And as she's saying this, Tama's saying, "But I'm so scared I can't go on much longer." And Usopp says, "Sorry to worry you, Tama. I'll take care of this." And he uses a special attack, Green Star attack, called Firework Flowers, which hits page 1. And as that's going on, "The heat is searing, Usopp," says Nami. And Usopp says, "Sorry, I don't have many close-range weapons, but I'll take him out anyhow." Anyway, and he uses another attack called Special Attack Green Star, Exploding Pine Cones. Literally pine cone grenade ammunition. And this engulfs page 1. As it shows he survived, and it shows page 1 survives this. And while they're running away, Usopp says, "If only those Kibidongos worked on anything but smile users." And it's in the word "smile" is in bold here, which pretty much just tells us that Tama's Kibidongo Paramecia Devil Fruit ability has limitations. I originally thought that, well, if she managed to get a Kibidongo in like a actual Zoan's mouth, then that'll just be a full-fledged Zoan, Tobiropo, or an All-Star under her command. That is no longer the case here. Her Kibidongos are limited to smile users and just regular animals. Zoans are completely immune to it, and they won't work. And as he's saying that, Big Mom comes out right next to Kumachio as they're running past, and it shocks both Usopp and Nami, but it doesn't shock Tama. And then Big Mom says, "It's you, the cat burglar and the one with the long nose, your Straw Hats crewmates." And then Tama, not knowing the full extent or reading the situation for what's going on between Nami, Usopp, and Big Mom, she responds like all happy, like, "Oh, hi, Olin." And then Big Mom just shifts personalities right here on the spot, saying, "Oh, why, if it isn't Otama, whatever are you doing here in such a dangerous place?" And then Prometheus, hiding behind her, is thinking to himself, "Uh-oh, she goes into mother mode every now and then with little children." And then it's just a casual conversation between Big Mom and Tama right now. "I was worried about you, Olin. You just up and left Udon all of a sudden." And then Nami and Usopp are shocked that Tama is just having like a calm conversation between someone who was very vehement on trying to kill them earlier. "Are you friends with her?" And then Big Mom, just smiling a big old cheese on her face, says, "Thanks for your help while my memory was lost, Otama. Oh, so you remembered everything? That's great. Yeah, I'd never forget how that busybody Otsuru from that grimy little Okobori town took me in. And I never forget the tasty flavor of that tiny serving of Oshiruko." And then Tama immediately gets sad and she says, "Oh." And then Big Mom notices, saying, "Huh?" And Tama says, "That Okobori town isn't there anymore." "It's not? The people there lied and said they all ate the food they gave to the samurai the night before the big raid, so Kaido's followers burned it to the ground." And Big Mom immediately gets mad at this because she remembers Otsuru, and she also specifically really remembers the food that she has. We'll dive into the reason why things transpire in the next page after that, because a lot of people didn't like this chapter because of what happened next. So she immediately gets mad and remembers the food, and she sees Tama crying. And then Big Mom says, "Kaido's followers did that to the town that was so nice to me? Here comes the dinosaur man. Go away, we're in the middle of something." And page 1 is coming up saying, "Big Mom, perfect timing. Don't let them get past you." And he tries to bite down on Usopp and Nami, saying, "Too late, you're done for." And Big Mom holds out her arm, and it starts to build up power. And she says, "Don't you know that even in the cruel world of pirates, there's still a code of honor, you clowns?" And proceeds to use Conqueror's I'm trying to find the right words to say it in a succinct sentence. Proceeds to use Conqueror's haki in her punch to punch the throat of page 1 and bodies. Now, mind you, it's not the chest, it's not the face, it's in the throat. The throat, the soft throat that never has any real protection from anything. Because here's the thing. You ever see someone get hit in the throat, like the fight between Neo and Mr. Smith, and he just pokes him into the throat real hard and causes Agent Smith to kind of choke a little bit? Imagine getting punched in the throat. Imagine getting punched in the throat by Big Mom. Imagine getting punched in the throat by Big Mom with her strength. Imagine getting punched in the throat by Big Mom with her strength that is also infused with Conqueror's haki. That's the attack that page 1 in his full-on Zoan form just took, and she bodied him. Zoans are well known for their superhuman strength and durability, and Big Mom just took him out in one hit. Conqueror's coding haki. Yeah, I prefer saying Conqueror's coding. Even though it's not the official way to say it, I still like my made-up term of Conqueror's coding. I still like that. But she says, "There's still a code of honor, you clowns," and just bodies him into the ground just by throat alone. And everyone is all like, "No, page 1!" And Kid notices the ruckus away from where he is and says, like, "Sounds like Big Mom's over there." And Zeus is in another location. And Zeus is in another location saying, "Oh, it's Mama, she's still alive." And the last thing we see is Ulti watching this all go down, with her only words being Pepe, and then everyone else saying with, "Uh-oh, it's Lady Ulti." So who knows what's going to happen with Ulti and Big Mom, though I don't expect her to do much against Big Mom because, frankly, it's Big Mom. What chapter am I on, Karma? I have just finished chapter 1011. I've pretty much covered all the chapters as we went through it. Now we get to talk about what to expect from the next couple of chapters as well. And it's already going on 1 hour and 30 minutes, so I kind of don't want to keep you here longer than I already have. But, whew, that's all the chapters for April. We move into May tomorrow. Tomorrow is the first day of May, so who knows what type of chapters we're going to be getting from here on in. Going into this upcoming Sunday, we are not getting a chapter of One Piece or My Hero Academia. We are both on break for both of those. So just expect One Piece episode reaction on that day. But seeing as how we've come to this point where now here's the thing, a lot of people, quite a few people, some people have sounded off in the comments of my reaction to this chapter saying like they don't like how Big Mom just shifted her mentality and is now attacking page 1. Now, I kind of came in and said that, well, food has a very big effect on Big Mom's mind. Like, even one of you guys, let me pull up my chat here. Even one of you guys just said that, Thomas says, why do people get mad about that it's about food? So, of course, she's going to be mad. She was going to destroy Fishman Island for candy, so what did people expect? I mean, food plays a very big part in a lot of Big Mom's decisions. If you make good food and she has it, then she wants that food. And if you don't give it to her, then she resolves to, I don't know, like Fishman Island, saying that she wants to destroy all of Fishman Island for their candy. So, when she had this Oshiruko, Big Mom tends to go completely mental when she doesn't get the food that she wants. Either she goes into the hunger pangs, or if she finds out that someone did something to her food, she goes after that person. So, here, in this moment where she was, had no trouble fighting alongside Kaido, this moment where Tama tells her, hey, that whole town where you had that really good Oshiruko that you like so much, yeah, Kaido's followers kind of burned that down. Can you imagine how mad Big Mom would be at those followers specifically? Because she has no obligation to keep any of them alive or not to kill them in any way. Even though Big Mom and Kaido have said they are entering into a pirate alliance, she really has no obligation to just not injure or kill any of them. So, for them to go out of their way to burn down all of Okobori Town, eliminating a location where Big Mom can get the delicious Oshiruko that she loves so much, it's no surprise that she gets mad and upset at this. And when she sees someone going after the one person who was there for her when she had amnesia and even gave her more Oshiruko, it's not out of the realm of possibility for her to exact some sort of revenge against the people that have pretty much eliminated a location where she has food she likes to eat. So I still consider it a great chapter, even though people don't like the outcome of what happened here. But this is Big Mom we're talking about. She is not the most mentally stable of people in the first place. So her behaving one way or the other should really not be a surprise to anyone. Not to mention, because it shows her right here, she was so bent on finding Kid and Killer after she just bodied them straight back into Onigashima with full Gora. And as soon as she sees Tama, she completely shifts into her mother mode. Just completely shifts personalities and goes into like, oh, hello, little child. What's going on with you? She's still brash, but she's still, I would like to say, in her manner of speaking, she's not as blunt when she's talking to small children. Because like I said in my reaction, she's still a mom. And she still has small children. Very, very small children. Some toddlers, some even babies. So her shifting personalities like this, due to the way her mind kind of works, it's not surprising. To me, it is. Not gonna lie, it would be kind of smart to eliminate Ulti right now, since Oda has too many fights going on right now anyway. I mean, you're not wrong, Karma. There are so many fights going on right now. Frankie facing off against Sasaki. Who's Who facing off against Jinbei. Brooke and Robin facing off against Black Maria. And then we got Ulti, and we have Page 1 here trying to chase after Nami and Usopp, but Big Mom's entered the picture. So if Big Mom ends up taking out both Page 1 and Ulti, that just eliminates one string of the Tobiropo already, which then leaves Jinbei, Robin, Brooke, and Frankie. I'm not counting Chopper because he was kind of dealing with, like Queen and the whole disease out on the performance floor as well. So there's a lot of fights going on. Not to mention, that's just the Straw Hats. We still have Inuarashi facing off against Jack. We have Raizo facing off against Fukuro Kuju. We have Killer facing off against Basil Hawkins. And then obviously we have Luffy facing off against Kaido up above. There's just so many fights going on right now at this moment. I honestly wonder how Oda's going to resolve every single one of them in a timely fashion. There's just so many fights happening in so many different locations that it's going to be easy to be disoriented. Marco versus King and Queen, Luffy versus Kaido, Kid about to fight Big Mom too. There's just so many fights going on all at once that I wonder how Oda's going to resolve it all in a way that doesn't either feel rushed or just jam-packed too much into one chapter. That's just one thing I'm wondering. But and you guys know I bring this up every single time we go through these chapters and we reflect on them. We are soon going to be reaching the point where Luffy versus Kaido will come to an end. The fight between the Tobiropo are going to come to an end. We still have Pedals Pedo, who is out there somewhere trying to make his way to where Big Mom is. He's out on the performance floor and he was eyeing Marco. Who knows what plans he has for Marco? Carrot and Wanda are currently out of commission because the moon is no longer out and they kind of got beaten by Pedals Pedo. We have Yamato with Shinobu and Momonosuke. They're still going around. It's not that there's too much action. It's just that there's a lot going on all at once. It kind of makes your head spin on how Oda is going to resolve it all. And the Scabbards are trying to stop Kanjuro before he can get to Momonosuke. Exactly. There's just so many things going on Wano right now. And I'm not saying that it's too much going on. It's just that I wonder how Oda's going to resolve it all. That's my main thing about all of these chapters as a whole. There's just so much going on all at once. I think Oda gave himself more work than he could handle. It's not that he's given himself more work than he can handle. It just means that with all that's going on, it just means that Wano is going to take a little bit longer to finish, because with Oda bringing up all these things that are going on, take it easy, Thomas. Hope you enjoyed yourself. With all the things that Oda has going on right now, it's not that he's put too much on himself to handle. It's just that it's going to take longer to get through because of what he's added on. Not saying that he's put himself in a corner and he's put, like you say, Karma, put too much on him. It's just that it's extending the length of the Wano arc. The more stuff he adds on, the longer this Wano arc is going to carry on. Because if we never introduce the fights between the individual Straw Hats, between the Tobiropo, and then Luffy versus Kaido, and then Pedals Pedo, and then Marco versus King and Queen, and then all these other different fights everywhere, it's just a lot you're going to have to resolve. And I'm not saying that he has to rush it. It's just that there's a lot he's going to have to resolve, which means it's going to be extending a little bit. Not in that sense directly, but I think he can't flesh out every fight like he might want to. I understand that, which means that some fights, like you said, not going to be surprised if one or two fights get done off screen. I wouldn't be surprised if that's actually how it resolves as well. That could actually save on time. And, because if you think about it, if you dedicate a chapter to one specific Straw Hat beating one Tobiropo, you're kind of dragging the arc out at that point. So if Oda takes one or two fights and has them finish off screen, sure, it would suck that we don't get to see the fight, but at least it won't drag out the arc longer than it needs to. That's kind of the problem that Dressrosa had, is that it dragged out every single little thing that was going on with that arc. So if Oda decides to do one or two, like you say, Karma, fights off screen and get them resolved and leave only the truly notable, important ones for us to see straight from beginning to end, I think that would be fine because it would help save the arc from dragging out too long. I've been meaning to ask this, but kept forgetting. But where is Big Mom's crew? Don't tell me they are able to take the Beast Pirate. If they're able to take the Beast Pirates, they'll have them to deal with to pick up the bones. Here's the thing: they can't. The reason why they were able to get up the waterfall in the first place because they were using magic. I was literally about to call them magic carps, using the carps to get up the waterfall. I don't know with Big Mom off of the ship if they're gonna have an easy enough time to just get back up there. It remains to be seen. So I don't know where her crew is at. Like I said, there's a lot going on here. A lot of things that are still not accounted for that each chapter does not hit on. Like the crew of Big Mom. Where are they? We don't know where they are. We don't know what's going on in Wano while this whole Onigashima thing is going down because there's really no one left behind to run things in Wano. We don't know what Hiyori's doing. At this rate, Wano is going to end by 2022. I mean, it's really hard to say unless Oda starts it. Unless, like you said, Karma, if Oda cuts like 1 or 2 fights, then that could save the speed in which this Wano arc goes and how long it continues on. But I feel like I don't think Oda's going to go out of his way to just illustrate every single little fight because only the fights that have either character development, want to show how powerful a character is, or if it has a narrative purpose, those are the fights that we see the extent of. If it has nothing to offer to the narrative, nothing to offer to character development, or nothing to offer towards showing how powerful a character actually is, those are the fights that tend to go very, very, very quickly. So I highly doubt every single Toby Roppo versus a Straw Hat is going to have either one of those three things happen during their fight because it's unnecessary. So that's just how I feel about it. Inuarashi versus Jack is definitely going to be done off screen because I mean it's going to be a fight between Inuarashi and Jack without them using the special perks on one side. Jack is not going to have the poison gas from Caesar, and Inuarashi is not going to have the benefit of his Sulong form. So there's just going to be normal fighting between the both of them. Nothing new. So that's just going to be that fight. But it remains to be seen how things are going to go for this arc as a whole. I just honestly don't know. I really hope Oda doesn't drag out the fights between the Straw Hats and the Toby Roppo going forward. Like, when you really think about it and you list it, there is so much fighting going on that it could be literally impossible for Oda to just show it off. Let me pull up what you just said. The Straw Hat fights have to be done correctly, though, because I'm sure they still have stuff they didn't show. The Straw Hat fights, yes, they have to be done right. Specifically, I really feel like the Robin and Brooke versus Black Maria fight, I feel like that's going to be one that's fleshed out. Due to the fact that Robin is pretty much the person they're going after. So Robin's fight with Black Maria is probably going to be one that's really fleshed out due to how important she is to the Beast Pirates. I mean, Kaido has orders to capture her. So Robin's fight is going to be one of the most important Straw Hat fights of this Wano arc. Not really much for Jinbei and not really much for Frankie because they really don't need those moments in the spotlight, but Robin does, however. Robin and Sanji, they both really need the spotlight for their own fights. Kaido himself is something of a Gyarados, a duck Gyarados Oni Dragon Man fighting on Muffin Mountain, as Tekking would put it. If Wano has this many fights, just imagine the final war. Wow. You know what? I never really thought of that. Blackbeard, the world government as a whole, pirates everywhere. This is gonna... Wow, I never really even thought about it. Even former warlords like Mihawk and Boa Hancock and everyone else. It never really dawned on me that if we think a lot is going on with this Wano arc, we really haven't thought about what the final big battle for One Piece is going to be like. If we think this is a lot, honestly, whoever gets knocked out now shouldn't come back, so Page 1 needs to stay sleeping. I agree, because he's not really offering much in way of character development, showing how powerful he is, or driving the narrative. He's just there as an opponent to be beaten. That's it. So I really hope that what Big Mom did to him is enough to keep him down permanently. Ulti, I honestly wonder where they're going to go with that. I have no doubt in my mind that Big Mom is not really going to have any trouble with her. But the sooner we get the inconsequential characters out of the way means less time spent on them, which means more time spent on character development, story narrative, and showing off how powerful the more important characters are. That's where I feel like Oda's probably going to go. Because if you think about it, there's no need for every Tobi Roppo to make it out of these fights conscious. So the more people get knocked out and laid out and not seen for the rest of the Wano arc means more time spent on what's really, really important. Assuming it's a 5-act kabuki play, I think we're setting up fights until the end of Act 3. Page 1 might come back in Act 4, and did you see the second preview for 972? I did not. I kind of forgot about that. But, ladies and gentlemen, this is getting kind of close to a 2-hour talk. My goodness, I'm sorry I kept you guys here for too long. But that's all I have to say about the chapters in April. Like, you guys know my usual hopes that we get more Straw Hat versus Tobi Roppo fights so that we can resolve them, so we can get back to the real meat and potatoes that really matters for this whole Wano arc going forward from here. But also, and you guys have said something again before I close out, we still need the reveal of the person who helped the Scabbards. Enel. But, we'll see. Hopefully we'll see who it is. And if it does turn out to be either Enel or Hiyori, I will admit this, like, wow, you guys were actually right. I will admit that, if it proves to be true. But until that time, I'll plead evidence to the contrary until Oda straight out confirms it. Now, since we're not getting any chapters this upcoming Sunday, that just leaves us even more time to think about what this upcoming break chapter is going to be like. I'm glad we still talk because I was late. It's all good, Karma. I kind of like to make sure I get everyone's as many opinions as I can during these streams when I talk. Thank you for a good stream and have a good one. It's all good. Kyushu, was time well spent? Yes. So as long as you guys are entertained, that is the most important thing that matters to me whenever I do anything for you guys. As long as you guys are entertained, that is the only thing that I see. You're not holding us up. We don't have lives. That's why we're here. No, you guys have got lives. I just want to be like a little bit of an entertainment break just in case for you guys. But NL needs a godly entrance. It isn't him. I'm just joking. I know. But that's all I got for you guys. I hope this was a worthwhile reflection stream to, put on for you guys with all my usual get-ups and everything that I tend to dress up with. Really do hope you enjoyed. But with that being said, hope y'all enjoyed. Can't wait to see you all in my next video. Wait. Before I stop, I have to rate all the chapters. What do I rate all these chapters for the month of April as a whole? I'd say a good solid 9 out of 10 for the whole month. A 9 out of 10 for the whole month because a lot of stuff got revealed. Conqueror's coding, then finding out Big Mom has it, and then Big Mom coming in, embodying one of the Tobi Roppo, and then the little nuance that the Library of Ohara just referenced, the potential that Kaido sees in Luffy, the same thing he may have seen in Roger whenever they clash. No matter how hard the situation is, you're always smiling bigger. So Kaido could see Roger in Luffy in the way that they're fighting right here. But that's how I rate all the chapters as a whole. A 9 out of 10 for all the chapters. But that is all I got. I gotta end it right here. So with that being said, hope y'all enjoyed. Can't wait to see you all in my next video. If you're new to the channel and you enjoyed what you saw here today, then consider subscribing because I am always looking forward to entertaining you. So have a fantastic day. And once again, as always, later, peoples.